Bonjour, mes élèves. Buenos dias, mis estudiantes. Ohayo gozaimasu. Gakusei-san tachiyo. It's me, Madame Sensei, and it's Monday. Lundi, lunes, getsuyobi. Today we're talking about brain science because if I can get you to understand how your brain works, you will learn faster. So, one thing that's going to help us in language acquisition is to make weird connections. What do I mean by weird connections? What is a connection, first of all? And why should it be weird? All right, so some examples are any mnemonics. All right, so we've got like Roy G. Biv to remember the colors. We've got every good boy does fine always. Funky chickens get drunk after every beer is how I remember the sharps and flats. This guy wanted to remember that Tallahassee was the capital of Florida. And he was like, how am I going to remember that? So he decided, oh, Florida kind of sounds like flower, and Tallahassee kind of sounds like television. So he visualizes a flower on top of a TV. And then he can remember, oh, yeah, it's Tallahassee. Okay. So I'm going to put 2 links in the description. The first is a world memory champion, and I'll talk about the world memory champions in a minute. And he's got to memorize these strings of 6-digit numbers, 100 of them. And spoiler alert, he's successful. He can memorize all 100 6-digit numbers in like a minute. Okay? So pause and watch that, and then come back here and I'll explain what's going on. Okay? All right, pause. Okay, welcome back. So, his weird connections are, I don't know what he particularly is doing, but I know that a memory champion before him would be like, oh, every time I see a 0, I'm going to think about a balloon. Okay? I'm going to tell you all the time, memory is visual and memory is spatial. Okay? So this guy was looking at zeros and saying zeros remind me of balloons. And the number 2 reminds me of a swan's neck. So every time I see a 02, I'm going to imagine a swan holding a balloon in his beak. And every time I see a 20, I'm going to think of a swan standing on top of a balloon. Okay? And so with every single number, he has a story he has made up in his head. All right? And then he does something else to keep those stories in order, which I'll talk about later. But every single number is a story because you can't memorize a number. Numbers have nothing to hook onto other than rhythm. You know, if you're 8675309, you got a rhythm, okay? But it's really hard to memorize individual or strings of numbers without some kind of memory trick. All right? So memory is visual and spatial. And you'll see a moment during the video. I normally, like if I'm in class with you, I pause the video and I say, what's he doing here? Because there's a point where he puts it's not chalk, but the pen to his forehead, and he thinks for a moment. Okay, did he forget? No, he didn't forget. He's just running through the story in his head. Okay, the second one I want you to watch. This is a woman who prepares students for the SAT, not the SAT, the AP English exam. Okay, so watch most of her thing. You can watch the whole thing because you're at home. And I don't have a good stopping point for you right now. Just watch it and then come back here and I'll tell you about this Josh Foyer guy who's a really good story. Okay? All right, pause. Go watch her. All right, welcome back. So she's talked about the keychain method of memorization, and we talk about that a lot. We're going to put like things together, all right? When we're studying food words, I'm not going to throw in school supplies, okay? It's all like things together. They're going to get encoded in your brain together. I'm going to show you patterns. I'm going to show you, when we're conjugating verbs, I'm going to show you verb patterns so that you don't have to memorize each verb individually, okay? Now, she talks about Josh Foyer, and she says he accidentally won the World Memory Champion. And it wasn't an accident, but this is a great story. I love this story. Okay, so he was a reporter and a journalist, and he did some huge expose on some company corruption, and it was really big, and it brought the company down, or it smacked them with a lot of fines and everything, and it was like really hard-hitting uh, honest journalism. It was great. Okay. And then he was like, okay, I'm tired. I need a fluff piece. The next thing I do has to be something fun because I've been doing this really heavy hitting journalistic piece for a year and a half now. I've been working on it. I need something fun. And he reads in the paper that there is the World Memory Championship coming to his town. And he's like, oh, that sounds like fun. I'll go interview the World Memory Champions. Now, you have to know, the World Memory Champions, they're not competitive with each other. They're competitive with themselves. Okay, they want to make themselves better. All right, so they're all buddies, and they all give each other tips and tricks, and they're more than willing to talk to you about memory tricks and everything. So he's sitting down and interviewing them, and they're giving him so many great memory tricks. And he writes his fluff piece, and it's pretty fun. And he says, it'll be even better. I think I'm going to do their memory tricks for a year, and then as a companion piece, I'll come back next year and I'll come in as a contestant and I'll show the other side. Okay, not just watching these people, but what it's like to compete. Because it just sounds like it's fun. Okay, so he dedicated 20 minutes a night, just 20 minutes a night, to these memory techniques. Okay, 20 minutes a night, and he won. He wasn't expecting to win. But look, my point to you is 20 minutes a night. I'm asking for 5 minutes. Isn't that much more reasonable? I'm just asking for 5 minutes a night from you. Okay? You can do it. I know you can do it. All right, so we're going to do a lot of weird connections, weird memory techniques. And for example, I'm going to make up dumb little stories so that you can remember things, all right? You want to stay far away from a loin. If you get too close, you're going to become his prey. This is far, this is close, okay? Loin, près, okay? Spanish students love shouting out, I'm looking for my bus car, okay? Buscar means to look for, to search for. Japanese students, you're going to love this, okay? When I teach you how E adjectives work. What do all these things have in common? They all have an E on the end, okay? When we make the adjective, we do something to the adjective. We're inflecting the adjective, okay? We're going to either turn it into an adverb, or we're going to make it negative, or we're going to make it past tense. We have to take off this E, and we add kunai. And one year, my Japanese class just started shouting, throw a kunai at it. That's this weapon right here, okay? So that'll be our mantra, because everybody loves that, okay? I'm going to show you how the kanji goes together, okay? Hopefully by this point I've shown you that this is sun, because it's all squared off, because it's hard to chisel. It's hard to chisel a circle into a rock. So they squared it off. Okay, this is sun, and this is tree. The sun rising behind a tree. How do you chisel into a rock east? You gotta make up a story. Okay, the sun rises in the east. Here it is rising behind a tree. All right, that's how we get this word east, higashi. Okay. French students, here's a word retrouver, all right? It's related to our word retrieve. I'm going to keep reminding you that, okay? Spanish students, parece. I'm going to keep reminding you that par is the same part of appear, okay? These will help you remember them. These are the connections we need to make. So be prepared for crazy connections. The weirder, the better, because memory is visual, and if you have a weird thought in your head, you're going to remember it better. So for years and years and years, I tried to have my French students, here's porte, to wear or to carry. Here's your porter taking your baggage in your hotel. Your baggage has your clothes in it, and he's carrying the baggage. And one year, my French students were like, I'm going to imagine someone carrying around a porta potty. Okay, he's carrying a porta potty. Everybody remembered it then. Okay, so the weirder, the better. It doesn't matter how dumb. It doesn't matter how it doesn't make sense. If it is causing your neurons to fire and connect, I am 100% okay with that. All right. And here, if we were in class, this is where we'd be writing down any weird connections for anything we were working on. I'm going to be giving you a lot of Freyer diagrams. Let me make this smaller so you can see it in the thing. Freyer diagrams. We'll also be going to be doing some guided language acquisition development techniques, GLAD techniques, okay? But basically, I'll have you write the word here, a definition here, use it in a sentence here, some weird memory trick, and then draw a picture, okay? And then with the GLAD techniques, I'll show you that when we come to it. All right? Excellent. See you on the next time.